Welcome back. Well, it's official. Saskatoon and Regina will make Saskatchewan the boom capital of Canada this year. The Conference Board's annual forecast says Saskatoon will be the fastest growing city and Regina will be fourth in between are Calgary and Edmonton. Joining me is the beaming boomtown Premier of Saskatchewan, Brad Wall. Welcome to the show, Premier. Recession. What recession? I wonder if you could tell me if this is strictly sort of a natural resources boom, or is there something more feeding this growth curve?
Well, certainly natural resources are a big part of the story, Don. I mean, there's no question about it. And in Saskatchewan, we're fortunate. We have oil and gas. We're Canada's second largest producer of oil, third on gas. But we also have potash, which right now is a fairly, and was previously and has been for some time, a pretty strategic resource that's getting a lot of attention from major companies around the world. We have current mines under expansion and new mines being considered, one under development. And then there's uranium. We're blessed to have a wide inventory, a wide array of these natural resources. But I also think you see other parts of the economy picking up steam on the service side and manufacturing related to servicing the energy sector and the mining sector as well. And as I said, the service and retail side are picking up. So, you know, we're very fortunate right now, and that's an important point to note, that no one's spiking the ball in the end zone. We understand that this is a cyclical thing, and we're trying to do what we can to make sure that this can last as long as possible, and that we can also build towards the next economy on the strength of a very strong resource sector in the province today.
All right, and you also got the best winter weather I've seen in Saskatchewan in a long time, so maybe we should start a tourism industry to go out there in the winter for a getaway.
We have some great beachfront property for you, Don.
Next week you head to BC for a Premier's Chinwag, and I'm kind of interested in what you're talking about with these employment insurance to try and get people to come to your booming province to take the jobs that you can't fill. What's your concern and what's the solution?
Well, the employment insurance program is about a $22 billion program, fueled, of course, by the hard-earned money of employees and employers. That's obviously a very large part of fiscal federalism, and the program as it exists right now has over 50 regions across the country, so that the amount of time one has to work to be eligible for benefits and the length of time of benefits can vary significantly across the country, or even to be in terms of full disclosure, even within a province. In Regina, for example, less benefits, a lot longer to qualify than even in northern Saskatchewan or, say, in Atlantic Canada. We're saying if there are labor shortages in the West and in other fast-growing parts of the country, and if we know a long-term labor shortage is coming to the country, demographically that's the case, then the employment insurance program ought to be modernized to reflect the fact that we'd like there to be less disincentive for Canadians to move from one part of the country to the other. This is also hardwired into the equalization program, this notion of ostensibly preventing mobility. And I don't think that's the way a modern economy ought to run in a country as large and in an economy as disparate as ours in Canada. So we think it's time for some modernization, fewer regions, and some convergence in terms of the time to qualify for benefits, the length of benefits themselves, and an encouragement to move to where there might be some opportunities. It's perhaps in the West today, but in the years ahead, it might be in another part of the country.
Are you hearing from business leaders in Saskatchewan that say, look, we've got these jobs, they pay well, but people are sitting in other provinces refusing to take them because it's easier to collect pogie?
Not directly. I'd have to say I haven't heard that, Don, although just generally we've heard from employers about a concern over the labor shortage today and it getting more acute into the years ahead. We as a government are even looking at the opportunities for job fairs, if you will, to Ireland in one case, maybe to the United States and other parts of the country as we've done in the past. There is a general concern over skilled labor shortage in this province. We are actually investing in programs with First Nations partners because that's part of the answer here. We've got much more aggressive on the immigration front, where we would, between 2001 and 2006, attract 8,000 immigrants to the province. We're now at between 12 and 14,000 in 1 year, in this current year. So there are things that we can do as well, but employment insurance modernization, I think, would help in terms of mobility in the country, and that seems to make sense. If there's opportunity in one part of the nation, it should be available to those who may want that opportunity in other parts of the country.
Tell me what you're taking to the Premier's in terms of your position on the new health care funding agreement. Not much of an agreement. It was basically you were told to take it or leave it. Are you in favor of the way it's going about, or do you think, as Roy Romano was saying to me earlier this week, that there should be federal conditions put on that for certain national standards?
No, I'd respectfully disagree with Mr. Romano on this point, and we've heard from him and others in the past, and I certainly respect the position they're coming from, that really just more money is the answer. And what Saskatchewan won't do is we won't go to Victoria and simply participate in a discussion about cash and sort of wrangling over how much we may or may not get from Ottawa. That's part of it. Would we have liked this announcement to have been less unilateral, or at least the agreement or the new funding accord? Yes. But we also welcome the fact that the federal health minister and the federal government have said, look, we're prepared to partner with the provinces, possibly on innovation in healthcare that actually delivers better healthcare for their respective citizens in terms of whatever province you might be talking about. We've done some innovating. Other provinces have as well. Most every province has done it. In our case, we've employed some private clinics within the public system to get rid of a backlog in surgeries, and our wait times are coming down. It's working. We'd like to be able to go to the federal government and say, look, if we have specific outcomes and goals in mind for better care, we appreciate the health transfer. We'd also appreciate, and additionally, a partnership with you to help provide that better health care to Saskatchewan people. The meeting in Victoria should be about more than cash. It should be about better outcomes and about making this system more sustainable. And I just don't agree with Mr. Romano on this front, because I'm not sure how we get to sustainability if all we ever talk about is more dollars.
Good point. All right. Well, Premier Brad Wall, thanks for coming in. We appreciate your taking the time to come in.
Thanks, Don.